Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi, getting carried in Diablo. Today,
Still fitting that.
oh gosh, let me turn him off so we don't have to hear each other talk during our match. We're not prepared to talk. I didn't give him some warning. That Sloth, he's level 71. I'm level 68 in this, and we're doing a level 18 to start off. And I'm going to die a lot. So he carries me. He has a great build, a great necro build. And I don't care what build he's had. There was one time he had to build that maybe, I don't know, but every other build he's had's been great. Usually unkillable in our teams. So he slightly out-leveled me, but it shouldn't make that big of a difference. He's just better at it than me. But while that's going on, I was looking at some quantum physics stuff today and yesterday, and everyone that explains it, if you have someone like excuse me, Sean Carroll, or some of these other physicists, and they try to explain quantum mechanics, I'm sure the math of it's not easy. Figuring out how the wave function crashes, figuring out those formulas probably isn't easy. If you knew the stuff, it'd be relatively easy. If you knew math and you were, what I found in those kind of symbolic languages like math, or if you have accounting, or if you have whatever it is, once you learn what the acronyms all are and you take some time doing that, this stuff's pretty straightforward. Maybe not getting to the concept, maybe not inventing the concept, but looking at, and I watch quantum physics stuff quite a bit. It's very interesting to me because I'm not saying I understand all of it, and if you want to have a fun watch Richard Feynman, some of his videos back in the 70s or 80s, where they have him discussing stuff. He had one he talked about how light particle photons going through glass, and it was just, I understood it, but I didn't understand it, right? So you understand it on one level. And that's a lot of things you understand on one level, but maybe you don't understand it on the deeper level, the symbolic level. So if you think about shaman in the world, where there's a lot of talk about ayahuasca and substances like that. They give you alternative experiences and you go through things, and there's a shaman or a leader that helps you through those kind of things and kind of helps you decipher what you're seeing or what you're going to go through. They obviously can't see what you're seeing, but they help you maybe understand it, because if you've been with that many people, so there's some symbology that makes some kind of sense. And thinking about symbology like dreams, what do dreams mean? And all of this, we have like a table, or let's say we have a Rosetta Stone that kind of can translate between these things. It really doesn't, because that presupposes we all have, these things are universal. And we know culturally, maybe sometimes things aren't universal. And we're getting to the boss. I didn't show you the whole video. This is to the boss. I think we're on level 18 here. A tier 18 Nightmare Dungeon. And so some of this stuff is in context of your culture. You may understand it on this level, but let's say, again, like we were talking about, maybe if you talk to a wise person, they say, well, really, have you considered this? It might mean this, it might mean this, it might mean that. In quantum mechanics, basically, over and over and over again, when you listen to people, I don't care who it is or what you're talking about, in general, we don't know where anything on a particle level It's all probability where the particles are and what their speed is. When they say something's classical physics, is normally when I say, please like, share, comment, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Trying to get to 500. Appreciate it. Normally, when someone talks about classical physics, that's where the car weighs 2 tons. It's moving 60 miles an hour on a freeway. If we do 10% for friction, how far will it travel once we take our foot off the gas? And you can calculate that, right? That's pretty easy. Or what's the force? That's what classical mechanics are in physics. In quantum physics, you don't necessarily have that because you can't understand all that. There's probabilities even where the particle is going to be. And so when you go up into the real world, a tree is a tree. When you put your hand on a tree, it's a tree. It's not going through the tree, even though the majority of molecules are made up of space, right? In reality, when you put your hand on the tree stops it. So what gives? Well, for sure, somewhere along the line, there's this transition from probability into, actual. And I think, this is one way I try to look at it. When you're going down the freeway and you look over and there's trees over there, those trees have been seen so many times. The other thing is the measurement problem they'll talk about. Why does your measurement of a quantum situation impact the quantum situation? And it really gets down to the basic fundamentals of everything. And I want you to think about it. When you are seeing something, you're seeing the reflection of light or the light bouncing off something to you. Right? So it's a reflection. So I'm looking at a fan right now. I can see the top of it and I can see the light from the window reflecting off it. So I can make that up. When there's no light to reflect anything back to you, when you can't get any of the photons from the object, you can't see it. So for you to observe something, when you're looking at it, you're looking at light coming from it. You might have to shine light on it. You might have to use an instrument to maybe bounce a laser off of it, and you're obviously impacting it. And that gets down to like the nitty-gritty of things. It's like when you say, hey, I'm going to start a business. And you say, I'm going to start a business, but you don't calculate all your startup costs, what inventory costs are going to be, loans from the bank, what you got to pay delivery drivers, some amount of loss during all of that. We don't do a good sense of accounting for all that. That's what maybe someone in project management, or maybe when you're running a company, when you really get to it and you get good at it, you start thinking of all these quote unquote unknowns. And that's what physics is. When we think about a car and how long will it take, how far will it go if we take our foot off the gas, we have an approximation of friction. We don't know the exact amount of friction. You'd have to go down and down and down. And similarly in quantum mechanics, they have equations, but you're really for that particle, but really it exists in the universe and you have some environmental factors. And we kind of skip over those. And if you think of everything, you kind of skip over all of it. You think you know what the person across from you is thinking. You think you know what your friends are thinking. You have a general idea. We go through this life with a lot of generalities, a lot of guessing. Taking it back to a game, for instance, that's why some people like the theory crap, because they get a really good idea of exactly what's going to happen. At my age, having played all the games, I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else. It doesn't matter. Right? You can tell when you don't have enough DPS because you can't kill the stuff. And so I end up just playing and just doing it. I don't have the best build. I don't have the optimal build. I just know in the philosophy of this character here. I'm playing with Slothmood. He's a necromancer that's pretty much unkillable. So what do I bring? Well, when I do Lightning Storm, I heal myself because one of my skills, and I do damage. And I have increasing damage in that. Additionally, I have 2 wolves, which with the gear I got a third wolf, and I got another piece of gear that turns the wolves into werewolves. The werewolves drop rabies on people. I'm also a poison build. So the 2 things that I'm going to do is the werewolves go in and grab the aggro. I then put on my poison creeper, which poisons everyone, and then I start lightning everyone, because that will get my health back up and it will damage them. And I need the energy creator to basically turn everything on, give me the resources to throw the lightning storm, and then I also use it to vuln. I could take some of the things and make them also do vuln, but this is what I've decided to do, how I'm doing it. One of the things about games is you just want it to be fun. I'm looking forward. It'd be cool if I could be a werewolf too with my 3 other werewolves. But not yet, not high enough yet. The areas are still a little too much. I can run this with Sloth and not die instantly, but look, I have to stay right next to him. Baby can't leave daddy. And that's okay. I appreciate him carrying me. He's done it in Destiny. He's a good person, good group mate, good clan mate, good friend. And so quantum physics, basically all you got to know, or the one thing you always got to put in your head, is possibilities. If you see something, if you measure it, it crashes the wave function, then it's in that form. And then that's what you're going to see from then on. And everything else, when you think about it, are possibilities. We don't know. You have a good idea what someone's going to do. We're not machines, though. We don't assign parameters to all this to figure out exactly what percentage is my friend going to do this, that, or the third. But you're doing this all the time. Does that mean that reality is a simulation? Could be. I don't know. Does it mean that there's God out there? Could be. I don't know. And so then that's kind of what the title is about, is what is your narrative? What is your narrative in your life? And what is your narrative? There's the final boss fight. And what is your narrative, about the things you do? And sometimes there's going to be an alternate narrative, right? It might not be, we talked about before that sometimes the story isn't about you. Even though the camera's on me, really the camera, if I had a way to follow Sloth around without dying constantly, the camera should be on him. He's the one carrying us through. And that's Roxy on cue. So YouTube, some food for thought. Can't figure everything out. You can't know everything. You put approximations on it. And that's kind of how we run everything. We put a little bit of approximations. We don't know exactly what's going on. Sometimes you want a little more than that. Thank you to Roman Kazi and Roxy. So long.